Hello. The topic that really stuck out to me was in chapter 8 where it talks about texting. As a 20-year-old girl, I haven't really known anything other than texting. I got my first phone when I was in the 6th grade and it had texting, so of course I was texting everyone. I think that growing up texting instead of calling has made me a much worse communicator over the phone. One thing I like about texting is I'm able to really think about and reread my response to make sure that I'm saying everything that I want to say and I'm saying it in a way that won't be misinterpreted. When talking on the phone, you have to think on your feet and don't really have that extra time to think about your responses. Because I never really talk on the phone, I feel like I'm much worse at communicating with people in person as well. I realized just how bad I am at communicating like this when I did my first attempt at this video and I went to rewatch it and I realized that I said at the beginning of almost every single sentence. So I'm trying not to do that this time, but I'm not great at speaking on my feet. So I also said, I like to have time to think about my responses so I don't sound dumb or say something that I don't mean. I also like texting because of how quick it is. My mom is notorious for talking on the phone for hours. So when I have a quick question and don't have time to talk all day, it's much easier for me to just text her than to call her. In the paragraph in the book about texting, I thought it was really interesting how much they focus on acronyms because I feel like these were used a lot more before smartphones or phones with a full keyboard because it was just much easier to type those if you didn't have a full keyboard. But I don't really see them used as much anymore. I thought that it was really funny how the book had listed some acronyms, but most of them I had never even seen used in texting, like PIR, parent in room, or AMOF, as a matter of fact. I just haven't seen these used. Another way that texting has been beneficial but also harmful in my life is through my relationship with my boyfriend. He goes to school in Spearfish, which is 5.5 hours from Sioux Falls. We grew up as neighbors, so it was odd transitioning to a long distance relationship, but one thing that really helped us is being able to text each other. Since we have opposite schedules, we don't normally have time to call every day and stuff like that, so it's nice that I'm able to just text him and say, hey, how's your day going? And he can respond when he has time, and then I can respond when I have time. We don't have to set aside 10 minutes a day to call each other. We can just talk throughout the day when we have time. On the other hand, I feel like we've avoided having some necessary conversations in person by having them over text, which probably is not the most beneficial way to deal with our problems. I personally normally choose to do this because, again, I like to think out my responses and make sure that I'm expressing how I feel while I'm also not saying anything to hurt him or tear him down. Because sometimes in the heat of an argument, I say something rude or something I don't mean. So when we're texting, I can stop and reread and reflect on what I'm saying to make sure that I'm not saying anything hurtful. So yeah, this is how texting has affected my life.